Let's talk about cyanide and how it works, because I think it's absolutely fascinating. So, cyanide is probably the most, commonly known poison, that and probably like arsenic, but I think it's very interesting how it works. So, this is cyanide, this is all it is. It's just this little molecule. It's just a carbon triple bonded to a nitrogen. That's all that cyanide is, like at its most basic form. Like, it can be, like, attached to other things, like there are other biomolecules that can have cyanide groups on them, but at its base, it's just CN. So, how cyanide works is it disrupts the electron transport chain. This is adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. It is basically the currency, energy, whatever of the cell. It is very, very important in pretty much every cellular function. It is made in multiple places along the metabolic pathway, like glycolysis, but the main one is the electron transport chain. That is what makes the most ATP. This is the electron transport chain. It has 4 complexes that each do like different things along there, but it results in a net production of around 30 ATP, which is way more than any other cellular process. So what cyanide does is it specifically inhibits complex 4, which is the one circled over here. The cyanide molecule binds to the electron transport chain, complex 4, and inhibits it, meaning it can no longer use oxygen, and since it can no longer use oxygen, it can no longer make ATP. Since oxygen is the last electron carrier in the electron transport chain, it is very important, and once the oxygen use is stopped, so is the ATP production. So, electron transport chain uses oxygen to make ATP, cyanide stops the oxygen use and so stops the ATP production, which causes cell death because all of the cells need ATP to function. No more ATP, cell death, organism death. So on a biochemical and cellular level, that is how cyanide functions. But what's very interesting about cyanide is it is concerningly easily accessible. So cyanide is commonly found naturally in quite a few different types of plants, including common and very good stone fruit such as cherries, apricots, peaches, plums, etc. It is also found in large doses, like in toxic and potentially lethal doses, in bitter almonds. Note, bitter almonds are not the same as sweet almonds. Sweet almonds are the ones that are, like, commonly eaten. They're very good, they're tasty, they're not dangerous for you. But bitter almonds contain large doses of cyanide, and do not eat bitter almonds. However, you can buy bitter almonds off of the internet. This is often why cyanide is described as having a bitter almond smell, and why victims of cyanide poisoning tend to smell like bitter almonds, even though really it's bitter almonds smell like cyanide more than cyanide smells like bitter almonds, because they smell... The smell comes from the cyanide, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it is found in lots of places. So, like in bitter almonds, not the sweet almonds, you can still eat those, and as well as cherry pits, apple seeds, peach pits, etc. Again, note, you will not die from cyanide poisoning from accidentally swallowing a cherry pit. You don't have to be terrified you're going to die from cyanide poisoning every time you eat cherries. It takes about, I googled 200 to 300 milligrams of cyanide to kill you. The average cherry pit does not contain that much cyanide. There is not enough in a single cherry pit to kill you, as well as it does need to be crushed, like the outer shell of the pit needs to be crushed in order to release the cyanide, so accidentally swallowing a couple whole cherry pits while you're eating cherries will not kill you. However, and I am not condoning this, I'm just stating that it is possible, If you are really gung-ho about it, if you harvest enough cherry pits and crush them up, you can get a substantial amount of cyanide. What you do with that cyanide is up to you, but I'm just saying, theoretically, you could get cyanide from cherry pits. I'm not telling you to do that, I'm just saying, isn't it interesting how that could potentially be a thing you could do? So yeah, cyanide. Very interesting.